Osho, The Ultimate Alchemy, Volume 1, Talks on the Atma Puja Upanishad, Discourse number 11.
This sutra says, to be centered constantly in the inner illumination and in the infinite innerness is the preparatory work for the worship. Light is the most mysterious thing in the universe for many reasons. You may not have felt it like that, but the first thing about light is that light is the purest energy. Physics says that everything material is false as matter, real only as energy. Matter is dead. Matter exists no more. It never existed except in our conception. Matter appears, but it is not. Only light is our energy, our electricity. The deeper we penetrate into matter, less material is found. Deepest, there is no matter. And matter itself becomes immaterial. But light remains, our energy. Light is the purest energy. Light is not matter. And wherever we feel that matter is, only light is condensed. So matter means light condensed. So this is the first mystery about light, because it is the substratum of all existence. So in a new way, the oldest conception of religions, that in the beginning God said, let there be light, and there was light, becomes very much significant, because existence in its purity is light. So if existence begins, it has to begin with light. Another thing, light can exist without life, but life cannot exist without life. So life also becomes secondary. Matter simply disappears. It is not. It is only condensed light. Then light can exist without life. Life is not a necessity for light to exist. But life cannot exist without life. So life becomes secondary and light becomes primary. In this context, one thing more. Just as light can exist without life, but life cannot exist, just the same, life can exist without love, but love cannot exist. So these three L's have to be remembered. Light, life, love. Light is the substratum, the ground, and love is the peak. And life is only an opportunity for light to reach love. Life is just a passage. So if you are only alive, you are just in the passage. Unless you reach love, you have not reached. Light is the potentiality, love is the actuality, and life is only a passage. So when it is said that God is love, this love is meant. Unless you become love, you are just in between. You have not reached the end. Light is the beginning, love is the end, and life is just a passage. So remember this. Light can exist without life. Matter is just an appearance, a condensity, intensity of light. And life is a manifestation. That which is hidden in light is manifested. Life is not an appearance. Life is a manifestation. Matter is just light condensed. So when light remains light and becomes condensed, it is matter. When light evolves, manifests its potentiality, it becomes life. If it simply remains life, then death is the end. If it evolves more, then it becomes love. And love is deathless. You may call it God. You may call it anything. Thirdly, these are basic points. If you remember them, then we can proceed into the sutra. Thirdly, in this whole world, everything is relative except light. Only light has the constant velocity. That's why physics takes light as the measurement of time. Everything is relative. Only light is in a certain way absolute. Light travels with a constant velocity. Nothing else is constant. Light only is absolute. There is no change. The velocity is absolute. The speed is absolute. So light becomes a mystery. It is not relative to anything. And everything else is relative to light. So nothing can travel with more speed than light. Because if anything takes the speed just equivalent to light, it will turn into light. If we can throw a stone with the speed of light, the stone will become light. So anything moving in the speed of light will become light. So nothing reaches the velocity of light. And nothing transcends the velocity of light. The speed of light is 186,000 miles per second. Anything traveling with that light, with that speed, will become light. That's why scientists say we cannot travel with the speed of light. Because anything, we are the aircraft, rockets, anything traveling with that speed will become light itself. Fourthly, a light travels without any vehicle. Everything else can travel only with a vehicle. Only light travels without vehicle. That is mysterious. And also light travels without any medium. Everything else has to travel through a medium. A fish can travel in water, and man can travel in air. But light travels in nothing, in nothingness. In the beginning of this century, physicists just imagined something like ether. They imagined something must be there, unless how light can travel. So that was a basic question. Light comes to us from the sun to the earth or from some star. It travels. So there must be some medium through which it travels. So just because nothing can travel without a medium, in the beginning of this century, scientists hypothetically assumed that there must be something X, they named it ether, through which light travels. But now they have found there is no medium. The whole universe is just a vast space. And light travels in nothingness. That means even nothingness cannot destroy it. Even emptiness cannot affect it. That means even non-being cannot affect light's being. And it can travel without any medium, without any vehicle. That means the energy is not derived from somewhere else. Light itself is the energy. If you have some derived energy, then you will have to travel through mediums, through vehicles. You cannot go yourself. Light goes itself. Fifthly, life is neither being pushed nor being pulled. It simply travels. If I throw a stone, then there is a push. I put my energy in the stone, and the stone will go only to the limit, to the extent up to it can be forced by my energy. When my energy fails or is exhausted, the stone will fall down. The stone is not traveling with its own energy. The energy has been given to it. It is foreign. Everything in the world has foreign energy in it, except light. Everything moving is moving with some energy derived from somewhere else. A tree is growing, but the energy has been derived. A flower is flowering, but the energy has been derived. You are breathing and living, but the energy is derived. You have no energy of your own. Nothing has except light. In this reference, the saying of Muhammad in Quran becomes very significant. He says, God is light. And he means there that only God is his own source of energy. Everything else is just derived. So we live really a borrowed life. It is borrowed from many, many sources. That's why our life is conditional. If one source just denies to give us energy, we are dead. Light lives with its own energy, unborrowed, self-originating. It is neither pushed nor pulled, and it moves. That's the most mysterious thing possible. It is a miracle. Sixthly, if only light has its own energy and everything lives with borrowed energy, certainly it must be that everywhere, ultimately, the energy is borrowed from light. Because if everything lives with a borrowed energy, except light, then ultimately light is the donor. Wherever you get your energy, ultimately the source must be light. You are eating food and you are getting energy. But the food itself gets it through light, through sun rays. So you are not getting it from food. Food has not its own energy source. Food is deriving from somewhere else. The food is doing only an in-between work, the work of a medium. Because you cannot absorb light directly, the trees are absorbing it. And then they make it and create it in such a way, they compose it in such a way that you can take that energy directly. So they work as mediums. The light becomes the only source of energy. So if everything drops in the universe, light will not be affected. If everything just goes off, the whole universe is dead, light will not be affected. The universe will be filled still with light. But if light goes off, then everything will drop. nothing can exist. This basicness of light is not only basic for science, it is basic for religion also. So now, the second part. If you penetrate matter, you stumble upon light. If you penetrate life, you again stumble upon light. Religious mystics have always said that we experience light. We realize light, the light within, the flame within. All the mystics have talked. It is not only symbolic, because only in this century it has become possible to say that it is not only symbolic. If matter dissolves into light, comes out of light, why not life itself? And when a mystic goes deep, he is going deep in life. He stumbles upon light. This going deep in oneself means going more and more to the original source of light. So the outer light is not the only light. You have inner light also, because you cannot exist without it. It is the base. To be means to be grounded in light. There is no other being. So when you go in, you are bound to come and to realize a dimension, a realm of light, inner light. This inner light and your life make just two layers. Your life is the outermost layer. Light, a deeper layer. Your life will end into death. Unless you realize the inner light, you cannot know the deathless. Because your life is just a phenomenon. It is not the base. It is just a phenomenon, a wave on the ocean of light. It will go. If you can penetrate through it to the deeper realm of light, you will know that which is immortal, which cannot die, because only light cannot die. Only light is immortal. Everything will have to die, because everything lives on derived life, borrowed life. Only light has its own life. Everything else has a life borrowed from someone else. So one has to return it. One has to give it back. So unless you realize the inner light, you will not know that which is beyond death. In a sense, it is beyond death and beyond life both. Only then it becomes immortal. That which is born will have to die. And that which is alive will be dead. So only that can be beyond death, which is beyond life itself. Light is beyond life and beyond death. Whenever mystics have been talking about light, they always talk about deathlessness. Because the moment you enter the inner light, the source of life, you enter deathlessness. In this sutra, both terms have been used. This sutra says, to be centered constantly in the inner illumination, in the inner light, and in the infinite inner nectar is the preparatory bath for the verses. So unless you are bathed in your own inner light, and in the nectar, in the immortality which belongs to that light, you are not ready to enter the divine temple. This is a preparatory bath. Water will not do. Light has to be used. Pure light has to be used. Unless you are bathed in pure light, you are not ready to enter the divine temple. When Krishna showed his infiniteness to Arjuna, Arjuna said, I don't see you, Krishna. I see only light. Where have you gone? I see only thousands and thousands of suns. And I am scared. You come back. When one enters into the inner light, it is there. Because without it you cannot be. Nothing can be. It is a scientific fact. Because without light, nothing can be. If there is anything, then in the ground light is bound to be. You may know it, you may not know it. But light is the ground of all. You are. So you have a deep realm of light. The moment you enter it, you are bathed. And this bath means many things. Ordinarily, when you enter a temple outwardly, you take a bath. You take a bath because dirt can be washed from the body. And you can enter in the temple with a purer body, fresh, undirty, clean. But when you are really entering into the divine temple, your body is not entering. Your consciousness is entering. And you cannot bath your consciousness with water. But consciousness can have a deep cleansing in inner light. And that deep cleansing means the dirt of all karma, all actions. Whatsoever you have done, whatsoever you have been, whatsoever have been your past, it clings to you. Just like dirt, just like dust, it clings to you. When you enter in a light, it disappears. Why? Because the moment you enter that inner light, everything takes the velocity of light and nothing can remain. The dirt of karmas, all that you have done in all your lives, when you enter that realm, everything becomes light. Because with light, in that velocity, nothing can remain anything else. So it is not simply a bath. All the karmas just disappear. They become light. And the consciousness is clean. It becomes fresh and young. As it should be. As it is meant to be. And when all the karmas disappear, by karmas I mean the material dust that one accumulates through actions and desires and passions. When it disappears, the entirety, the nucleus of ego disappears also. Because ego exists only as a collectivity of all the dust, of all the dirtiness, of all the impurities. It exists as a center. When everything disappears, ego disappears. And when ego disappears, you are pure, clean. You are born anew. So to enter this inner light is to enter the inner fire. another thing, the light that is outside, it is constant, but it cannot be constant for you. The sun will rise and set. The sun itself never rises and never sets, but for the earth. It rises and it sets. The night comes. So with outer light, you cannot remain constantly in light. Only with inner light, there is no rising and no setting. That's why the sutra said, to be centered constantly, continuously. There is no night, there is no setting, because there is no rising. The light is there as your being, as your very existence. So to be constantly centered in this light is the bath. And by bath is mean that everything that was clinging to is just destroyed. Not only destroyed, but transformed also. It becomes light itself. This entry has two parts. First, you will realize light, then you will realize a deep cleansing of your soul, of your being, and thirdly you will realize the nectar, the elixir, amrit, the immortality, the deathlessness of it. Because once the ego dies, you are deathless. Once the karmas are washed, you are deathless. Once you have entered deep than life, you are deathless. Deeper than life, death cannot exist. Death exists parallel to life. It means the end of life. Life has two dimensions. One is just horizontal. You go from one moment of life to another moment of life, then another. A, B, C in a sequence. Then ultimately the Z is going to be the death. You move from E to B, from B to C, then X, Y, Z. A is birth, Z is death. And you move from A, B, C, D horizontally. This is one movement, birth to death. Buddha says one who is born will have to die because he is moving horizontally. So death is a necessity on a horizontal plane. But you can move vertically. From A not to B. Drop below the A. Go above the A. Don't move to B. So from any life movement, you can move in two ways to another life movement. Then death will be the end. Then you are progressing towards death automatically, unknowingly. You can move down or up, not horizontally, vertically. So move from A down or up, and then you move from life to light. If you move down, then you move to light. If you move up, then you move to love. This is the horizon. This is the vertical plane. If you move down from life, then you move to light. If you move up, then you move to love. And both give you the door to deathless. Because death only means horizontal moving. Now you are not moving horizontally. And move either way. If you can consciously go down to light, your life will become love. Because once you have known the deathless, you can be nothing but love. Really, the death is the enemy of love. You cannot love because there is death. You cannot love because you are fearful of death. You cannot love because you are afraid of everyone else, of the other. And all fears are basically fear of death. They can be reduced to the fear of death. Once you know the deathless, the fear has gone. And when the mind is fearless, it is love. When the mind is fearful, it is never love. You may sow, you may pretend, it is never love. With fear, hate can exist. With fear, jealousy can exist. With fear, anything can exist but not love. So that's why we pretend love, and love is not found in the end. Jealousy is found, hate is found, fear is found, love is not found. Why? Because you cannot love really. How can you love when there is death? How can you love unconditionally when every moment death is coming near? Look at it in this way. You are here, your beloved or your lover is here, you are just in the ecstasy of love, and then someone says within 5 minutes you are going to die. The moment this is said that within 5 minutes you are going to die, love will disappear. You will forget the beloved, the lover, and the poetry, and everything will just disappear. Why it disappears? It has never been there. Only you were unaware of death, so you were pretending love. Deathlessness known becomes love. Then you cannot do anything else. Then it is not that you love, rather you become love. Love becomes your quality, not your act, your very being. So either drop down from A, from the horizontal line, drop down vertically to light. That is one way. That is one way. Yoga is concerned with this dropping down. Or rise from A vertically to love. Bhakti is concerned with rising up. And either way you go vertically, the same will be the result. If you can go up from A, again you find the deathless. Vertically there is no death, only horizontally there is death. So if you find love going up, you will find light. Because entering the deathless, one is bound to find light. Entering the light, one is bound to find the deathless. They are one. So really, life and death are two aspects of one coin. And death is not opposed to life. It is part. Light is opposed to death, not life. Light is opposed to death, not life. Because light is immortality. Love is also opposed to death, because it is again deathless. So the problem is either to enter light going down, or by going up to enter love. This vertical journey is the journey of religion. And this sutra says, to be centered constantly in the inner illumination and in the infinite inner nectar is the preparatory work for the worship. So how to enter and how to be centered? How to enter? How to find out this light? 2 or 3 things. One, whenever you say light is, what do you mean? I say the room is lighted. What do I mean? I mean that I can see. Light is never seen. Only something lighted is seen. You see the wall, not the light. You see me, not the light. Something lighted is seen, never the light itself. Because light is so subtle, it cannot be seen. It is not a gross phenomenon. So we only infer that light is. It is an inference, not a knowing. This is just an inference. Because I can see you, I assume that light is. Because how can I see you without light? No one has ever seen light. No one. And no one can ever see light. But we use the word that I see light. And by that we mean that I see things which cannot be seen without light. When you say it is dark, there is no light, what do you mean? You only mean that now I cannot see things. Outward, the outside world. So when one has to enter, one is ready to enter inside, what do we mean by light? If you can feel yourself, if you can see yourself, that means the light is there. This is strange, but we never think about it. The whole room is dark. You cannot say anything is, but one thing you can say, I am. Why? You cannot see yourself also. The room is totally dark. Nothing can be seen. But about one thing you are certain, and that is your own being. No need of any proof. No need of any light. You know that you are. You feel that you are. A subtle inner illumination must be there. We may not be aware about it. We may be unconscious about it, or very dimly conscious, but it is there. So turn your gaze inwards. Close all your senses so that there is no feeling of the outside light. Go in darkness. Close your eyes. And now try to penetrate, to see inwards. First you may feel simple darkness. That is because you are not accustomed. That is because you are not accustomed. Go on penetrating. Just try to look in the darkness which is within. Penetrate in it, and by, you will begin to feel many things inside. An inner illumination begins to work. It may be dim in the beginning. You will begin to see your thoughts, because thoughts are inside things. Thoughts are inside things. They are things. You will begin to stumble upon the furniture of your mind. Much furniture is there. Many memories, many desires, many passions, unfulfilled, many frustrations, many thoughts, many seed thoughts, many things are there. When you begin to feel, first try to penetrate the darkness. And then dim light begins to be there. And you begin to be aware of many things. It is like that if you enter a dark room, suddenly you can't see anything. But remain there. Be adjusted to the darkness. Let your eyes be adjusted to the darkness. Eyes have to adjust. They take time. When you come from out from sunlit garden to your room, your eyes will have to readjust it. The entrance will have to be readjusted. Your eyes will take a little time. It happens. If one is constantly using his eyes only for to see things which are very near, for example, if one is constantly reading, then he will become short-sighted. Because so much use of short sight will fix the mechanism of the eye. So when he wants to see a far-off star, he cannot see it, because the mechanism has become fixed. Now it is not flexible. The same happens because we have been looking outside continuously for lives. The mechanism has become fixed and we cannot look inside. But try, make effort. Look in the darkness. Don't be in a hurry, because the mechanism is fixed for many lives.